Testing, testing. Welcome to WestWorldia, brought to you by PanNerdia. I'm AA Ryan.
I'm Pete.
And we're here to talk about Season 2, Episode 1, as well as what we think is going to happen on Episode 2. But we're going to start you guys off first with the preview for in the weeks to come on WestWorld. Give me a second to set up. We'll check that out. But I think we got some guests here real quick. What's going on? Maeve?
Hey now. Hey, quiet. You stand there. Don't move.
We got a show to do, okay?
Just stay right there until we're done.
You two size more. I don't want to hear it, man. Loud ass. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it, guys.
Keep your clothes on, Sizemore. Sorry.
Yeah, Sizemore. I don't want to deal with that stuff, okay? All right, let me go ahead and clip this up real quick. Boom, 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 boom. Get the clip up. Bam. All right, here we go.
Did you even know what you were really guarding here?
No, I don't know what you're guarding.
The real purpose of this place? You don't know, do you?
So obviously, you think that modern time they're showing there is the real human world or another one of the parks?
I think it's another one of the parks.
Me too.
Just because they show old school William with her in one of the
question no
parks.
one's ever even dreamed of asking.
Who's questioning her there?
Do you want to see?
Oh, it's the William.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
William Younger. And then who's that other guy that they introduced? Was that James Delos?
It's just
Logan's
a
dad
speck of
they
dust
showed?
It had to have been.
sitting on a much, much bigger world.
Oh, there's a little warring going on here. Hello.
Oh, dang. That is awesome.
So sweet.
What's up, guys? Welcome again to WestWorldia. And, well, you know, we do reviews a little different around here. We like to kind of break it down by the characters, you know, the meat and potatoes of the show itself, because you can't have an awesome show like this without the characters. You know?
The main characters from Season 2, Episode 1, obviously, Bernard, Dolores, Maeve, William. Which one are we going to start with?
Let's go ahead and just hit the hosts for now. Let's start with
Yep.
Dolores. She's kind of, you know, she's the main character. She's the OG original host, and I'd love to talk about her. I mean, look at that sweet picture. I mean, she's kind of like she's got something cocked to your head there.
Oh. Hey! Well, Dolores is on a cold-blooded hunt to capture, hang, and kill the remaining party guests and all the Delos people, heads, guests, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
But
yeah.
reveals that she is programmed with merged personalities. Dolores also confides in Teddy that she has bigger plans, but I'm not sure if these plans are for the hosts or for the humans or for everyone. I'm guessing it's for Westworld, period. But are her plans solely for the hosts? What do you think?
I think your plan is solely for the host. I think she wants to take a world, take over the world that they built for them, and she wants to take that over for themselves. And then she had hinted during the episode that she wants to expand outside of this world and eventually take their world as well. And by their world, I mean the guests. She wants to take over humankind.
Do you think that's her as herself that she used to know, and as Wyatt, all as one, making that thought?
I still think they're all kind of dueling together, so to speak, in the mind right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all kind of pushing their own agendas together. And I think that's for the purpose. They need to kind of meld, but it's going to take this chaos. Hence, you know, chaos takes control of the hashtag right now of the season for it to really settle in and for it to drive in who she really is. Because that's what she said, too, when she hung those people was...
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't see any.
She said I didn't see. I love that, by the way,
because she goes from the Wyatt stuff to good old Dolores. So
right.
Like, you know.
Yeah. So I
didn't see
mean,
anything.
Ultimately, she's wanting to change things for the betterment of the host.
Doesn't look like anything to me.
Doesn't look like anything to me. All right, let me make sure I'm on these slides here as we go on.
Who's next?
We're still talking about Dolores here,
okay.
so. I love this picture here because this is when they play that old school like, and And I don't know the original name of that song, but you know I'm talking which one it is.
Yeah.
You heard like Looney Tunes and stuff. They're playing that old school saloon tune.
Yeah.
And she's riding on the back of the horse and just taking out those folks, and I think in complete Wyatt form at that point.
You know, Evan Rachel Wood, I saw her in an interview about riding horses. That was the first question they said, like, can you ride a horse and shoot a shotgun? She's like, what? Well, I can ride a horse really well. She's got a lot of experience riding horses. Her first scene in WestWorld was riding at full speed with a gun, shooting actual bullets and stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, so she's quite the equestrian then.
And then, as I've also heard, like, some of the dudes, like, you know, in the nude scenes, like, they would have a little cloth, little loincloth thing with a little pull string, and like, yep, and there you go, and here's your first scene. Welcome to WestWorld.
Oh dang! You're riding a horse and shooting a gun.
So some of those people playing androids be in the diagnostics room didn't have to go through what Sizemore did, which is just full frontal, like, here I am.
They're like, okay, look, we kind of got to humiliate your character a little bit. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but so here's some extra little something to your paycheck just to supplement there. But yeah, as Dolores kind of went through this episode, she was really just kind of like, you know, like the Undertaker. She was the one kind of just coming in and cleaning the house, cleaning up the mess that were the guests, and she had her, android, I say, pet on a leash, Teddy. I kind of think he's like that at this point. He's kind of just following her at a whim, but he still seems on the fence, I feel like.
Teddy, yeah, I don't think he's fully awakened yet. I think he's, like, on his way there. I'm not sure if he's been whispered those sweet words of,
Oh, these violent delights have violent ends.
Exactly, which means it's like that kind of clicks on, like, they start to remember everything. I think Teddy's still swimming around on what's wrong and what's right, even though he's got all this new information.
Right.
He's such a good-hearted, programmed, android.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think ultimately my kind of theory, I guess, with him, I think he will see kind of what Dolores is working towards, but not really agree with how she's doing it.
Yeah.
And there will be somewhat of a rift there at one point, I feel like, where she's almost kind of in a going kind of like mad
He's admitted
queen.
Wyatt is bad. It's not good. This is not a good thing.
Right.
Oh my God, I was a part of that. And then, oh my God, now I'm a part of it now, but she's Wyatt.
She's Wyatt, right.
Like, yeah.
So it's got to be confusing to just his eternal log altogether.
Dolores is so powerful, Maeve as well, that I can see Teddy and the rest just following, getting in line, and just going bonkers and like out to destroy for...
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, needless to say. And I guess the next question is, and this will kind of bring us into Maeve, is who else could possibly be pulling the strings? Especially in Maeve's case, but we know in Dolores' case it was kind of a long con to get her to kind of find herself, and it was through the whole, sacrifice of Arnold and then eventually of Ford. And then we have Maeve, which we're going to get into now, and she's kind of being controlled by somebody else, or somebody has some of the same ideas as her, because somebody shut down the entire park.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Dolores has got Bernard kind of by the balls. I think the more she interacts with him, the more control she'll have over him, which means the more control she'll have over like access to getting in and out of the different parks. But at the same time, we don't know exactly when are we watching what is happening.
Right, yeah, and once we get
watching, are we watching a few weeks ago, years ago, or present day? So
yeah, and with the Bernard thing, we'll get into Bernard. He's
he's
kind of like the whole kind of glue to this episode, and what pretty much spins it in. But kind of going back to where Maeve, she was leaving last season, and she's kind of back in it, so they kind of had to touch on her story a little bit. Nothing too exciting in Maeve World this week.
Well, basically,
nothing, nothing too crazy.
Maeve returns to Westworld Control Center. We thought once she was out of there and she blew everyone to bits that she's now on her mission.
Right.
But we find ourselves in Season 2, Episode 1. She's at the Control Center. She enlists Hector and Lee Sizemore, of course, whom had to do that full Monty, unfortunately. It wasn't for me, but in a scene that was kind of necessary, though, at the same time, because they were kind of showing that she's like, how do you feel now? Like, we're always naked, doing your narrative. Now you're naked and you're going to do my narrative, and that's basically what she's saying there. So she is set to find her daughter from her past, from her first life, I guess she was assigned to, and no word on Armistice though in that episode. So we're still waiting to see if there's an Armistice scene of the past.
Armistice with the new arm, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be nice. I mean, yeah, so Maeve kind of steps into the fold post little mini war. She's seen a lot of slaughter as she kind of looks for, presumably, Hector. She runs into Lee. Lee, of course, being scared shitless and having to deal with the Wyatt that he was making, who likes to consume his victims moist.
Oh, yes. I like it moist.
Moist. And so Maeve came in, saved the day, so to speak, and Lee kind of, talked his way into helping Maeve get what she wanted, but not before he almost outed her in one instance.
I guess he forgot, even though he wrote her narratives and stuff like that, she turned her levels up to like the highest possible intelligence that she could possibly
get. Like telepathic intelligence.
So, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, we're now at the point where she's walking through a room and these androids, these hosts are doing whatever she wants.
Right. She's like doing Jedi mind tricks.
She doesn't have to do the whispering in the ear anymore for like triggering something.
Right.
So we're getting into... Whoo!
And then she finds Hector sitting on top of the poolside in total slaughter mode. I mean, he looked like he was torn up and got shot multiple times, drunk off his ass. And they find each other, they embrace, and, even though Maeve was pretty much about to just leave him to the slaughter, he tends to be a loyal subordinate, fuckboy of hers, if you will. I don't know how the dichotomy is gonna work, because it's kind of similar to the Dolores and Teddy situation. It's like Dolores is powerful.
I think both women are like they've got their little right hand man.
Right,
I mean,
their right hand man.
You say right hand man, you see bitch boy, whatever. Either way, they're the narrative love interests of each other.
They are,
and it just so happens that the women
are kind of being puppet masters. They
are.
Yeah. They're using them. They're using the strong men, I guess, in this instance, to kind of do their dirty work, and not, negating any fact that they're not strong. They're extremely powerful. They're going to be the ones to take over this show.
Hell,
Dolores and Maeve.
Maeve turned up everything. I wonder if Dolores is going to get a chance to get everything turned up, or since she's been updated so much since she's the original host, that she's already there. It's just a matter of talking to Arnold and everything.
That's what I'm thinking. I like that theory. Yeah. I think she's just gonna. She's already there for her. It's just a matter of kind of unlocking it, where Maeve's building towards it, and that's why I like those two characters, and they're gonna be a powerful force. Hopefully, they don't ever come to a point where they're in conflict with each other, but that could lead to something pretty interesting.
That's a whole other season. I think this season's the season of the two women going bonkers and Bernard going crazy and. And then at the end, we're going to find out what the other parks are. I mean, I think we're going to find out, obviously, Shogun.
Right.
Maybe future or current future world or whatever.
I think we'll learn a lot more about these parks. What did they say? There were six parks total?
Like 2 W's, man.
Wow, that's crazy. 6 parks in this giant, what we might think island. I mean, well, let's talk about it. We got Bernard here. Very, very central key character to this episode. Not only from the scenes that we see back from when Ford, got his brains blown out, all the way to, him waking up on the beach 12 days later after the militia showed up, ran by Strand.
Right.
And there's so much intertwining, you don't know what's happening. It's kind of a play on the first season where it's kind of a mix between timelines.
Totally. I mean, just like Aaron just said, you got 2 weeks ago, you got present day, and you got 35 years ago when Bernard was actually Arnold, the original Arnold. But, in the hours after Dolores and Company's slaughter of the dinner party thing with Anthony Hopkins, Bernard, a.k.a. Arnold 2.0, as I like to call him.
Bernarnold.
Yeah, Bernarnold. He takes shelter in a super secret Delos Corp bunker with Charlotte Hale, which he didn't even have a clue existed. He thought he knew everything, but at the same time, we're like, what are we, where is he at?
Right.
Does he even know what's a memory and what's not? This means that we are destined to see Louis Hertham do his acting evil again, because obviously when he went in that bunker, the whole thing was try to find Peter Abernathy.
Right.
Because he's the rogue one that's out there doing all this mischief and whispering the words and changing the narrative of everyone and kind of freeing them.
Right.
At least that's what both Charlotte and Bernard seem to think. So he's looking around. He's obviously got a plan to bring all the hosts within a certain area, not all of Westworld, but a certain area, to come into one spot, and then they could sort of like have them just stand there and filter through and find them.
Right.
Well, that kind of worked and kind of didn't. And may I just go ahead and push forward to where all the droids were in the water?
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it, because I want to talk about some water some more as we go on here.
I think that terraform thing that Anthony Hopkins' character Ford had moving wasn't to just build that little town with the church and stuff. I think that was already kind of there. It was kind of...
Right, he just had to dig that up.
I think he was getting a water source to come in to make that lake. And
that makes sense.
And when Bernard, a.k.a. Arnold 2.0, sent all the droids there via Charlotte's underground bunker, they showed up, they stood there, and what did they do? They drowned.
They drowned,
so
yeah, because
he
they went
said
through,
at the end of the episode, I killed them all.
Right.
And it wasn't by just a gun, it had to have been they were drowned, so...
Right, and, you know... It's interesting because they even say, like, nobody knew this lake was there, and even Bernard said he didn't even know, but he was probably part of that master plan altogether. And again, it kind of goes back where I'm going to bring up water again. A big thing with Bernard right now, you know, him waking up by the ocean, he's, you know, led all these, you know, androids to their death via sabotage in the lake. You know, you look at the new opening of the show, and a lot of it is moved from that milky kind of life cream that they did to sculpt the androids to looks like them floating in water, and they were showing these females in rebirth, right? So all this is kind of leading back to when Bernard had ended up shooting himself in the head in the first season, right? He nearly damaged his main processor, which they showed these episodes kind of coring the skulls of the androids and
those cores were also in a separate liquid that Bernard had to take out to sort of relieve it.
Yes.
And obviously that liquid is some sort of like battery, not charger, but it sustains the battery's life.
I think it's something along the lines of that. I also think it could have something to do with, it might be some sort of real bio fluid, like I'm talking about literal like cells, like other, because remember they even had Charlotte talking about how they're taking guest DNA samples.
Well, even the drones, underground drones without faces or ears or anything, like those were, as told by the people that did the special effects, biological material. In other words, like they're not just robots with this synthetic stuff.
Right.
That synthetic stuff is actual biological stuff. They worked on that actually does like cuts will heal and things like that, but not like totally. Like obviously they have to like completely hack them up and fry them back together. But
so where I'm getting at is like this liquid, it's going to be a big part of this, and like water and fluidity is I feel like it's going to be a big kind of symbol driving this season forward, and it's going to kind of mimic and kind of touch on the idea, I feel like, of life. And this show is all about, of course, sentient and life and awakening.
Where do you find life on other planets? Only if there's liquid water, right?
Water.
We come from the water, like the Toady song. I come from the water. That's a great song. So,
you know, it's just like when it's leaking out of his ears and he's starting to, like, they're really paying attention to that. They even really show when they core out the skulls and, you know, is this fluid. So what is this? What is this fluid that's around this processor that's so kind of precious? And why is it mimicking so very much in not only Bernard's kind of story and his discombobulation, hence it's physical discombobulation with him getting shot, but also his past and mixing it up.
Oh, it's so intense.
And drowning all these androids. There's so much
you
to kind of
talk
talk
into
about.
Just when they showed inside the head, you could read into like what a horse is doing out in the background. There are Easter eggs and all kinds of hidden stuff in the show.
Right.
And they admit it. All the interviews I've watched with the actors from 2016 in between seasons and just this month of April, holy cow, they admit, and they purposely have a lot of Easter eggs out there, and it may be things people say, it may be objects, it may be wardrobe, it may be a symbol hidden in the last place you'd look.
Exactly.
Not like a necklace or a tree stump, but like maybe somewhere on saloon sign.
Or as much as just as symbolic as, water and fluidity itself.
And please comment if you see any Easter eggs from, if you have seen any Easter eggs from the first episode, comment on it. And after tonight's episode, please come back to PanNerdia and go to WestWorldia, which is this show on PanNerdia, and blast some comments on your theories or Easter eggs that you may have.
Right, and let us know if you see any patterns as the episodes go on, and as we continue WestWorldia here, because we would love to see if you guys are being little detectives and helping us kind of figure out what's going on here, because there's a lot of mysteries, and I think together we'll be able to solve all of them. Maybe, kind of prognosticate, predict something before it even happens, which would be, freaking sweet. But as we're seeing here in this picture, and kind of how we talked about at the very end of the episode, Bernard is sitting there with Strand as they walked out to this giant, almost sea that was created, possibly by Ford. He sees all these androids and he asks them, "What do you think happened?" He goes, "I killed them all." And it was just a crazy scene to watch, but particularly you're wondering what's going through Strand's head, because he's like, wait, because at this point, they don't know Bernard's an android. So he's thinking, what do you mean you killed them all? What's going on? You've been so quiet this whole time since we found you on the beach.
The fact that Strand is like, now you remember anything? Now you remember anything? Instead of like, this guy needs medical attention or something like that. It makes me think that maybe, just like season 1 taught me, of like, you know what, maybe everyone's an android, just relax, watch it.
Right.
Wait for the reveals, enjoy, which I did. But in this case, I'm like, all right. So I kind of understand the whole Delos Corporation and how they send people on vacations and the vastness, the size of it all. But this guy Strand, I think, is a droid. I think Strand is a super droid like Bernard, but his connection is not to some dead guy named Arnold or some dead guy named Ford. His connection is just to Delos. Like, that's their super android that nobody knows about.
That's their intelligence. Right. They kind of get in and get more intel.
The way AI has accelerated over the years, because you look at the old Ford, where the kid, the family, that's like the old school robots. Yeah, right. And now it's like they've got this like liquid everything and also biomaterial.
Like bio-androids,
right. Well, maybe Strand is even a level higher than Bernard. So he probably knows about Bernard and no one else does. So if anyone knows about Bernard that is considered on the Delos side, the human side of things, I think it's Strand.
That's interesting, because I kind of had an epiphany there. I remember at the beginning of the episode where they still are kind of effing with us in terms of where the hell this freaking place is at. It looks like almost like a Chinese kind of like Navy or military's on there on an island.
Peninsula, foreign country,
China,
foreign planet.
Giant bio bubble on the moon with water. Who fucking knows? At this point, because how far in the future are they?
If there's a future world
type
space place.
If there's a future world, right? And that means they're kind of looking back at a futuristic world in the past, right? And that they could be even further past that. So it's so bizarre. But
yeah, I believe you're right about that, because the wardrobe the girls are wearing and the skyscrapers are very reminiscent to right now, 2018. Right now,
maybe a little newer. Yeah, like maybe 2050-ish.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Not too crazy far, but not too like bizarre where you're like, whoa, you're blowing. But back to Strand, it's like he tells him specifically he's very protective over this island. He's like blah blah blah, Delos, tell him to get the fuck off my island. And think about it, if he's that protective over this property, that could really kind of echo that notion you just have of him being a secret android of Delos specifically.
Right, Delos destinations. And you wonder if this like continent size thing of 6 parks, whether it's an island or a space bubble or whatnot.
Whatever the
hell it is.
Other dimension.
You just wonder, like, do they have other destinations and other faraway places besides the 6 parks of Delos' WestWorld, Shogun World, Future World? Who knows what the other 3 are?
Right, Who knows what they're going to bring.
I mean, it's an infinite... It's a show where they have infinite possibilities. They can write in any direction.
Right.
They can do anything. It's wonderful. What do we got here?
This is Sizemore here. I just talked about him again.
No.
He just
the clothes.
Yeah, right. We didn't show him the little wee picture. But kudos to any actor who stands in front of a camera, especially on like HBO when you got millions and millions of people watching you just to stand up there.
And without a fluffer probably too, because it's not adult film.
Right.
So there's not someone there like, well, it's kind of cold in the room. Let's throw a little heat.
Right.
Heat over there.
It's elongated a little bit, right? So Lee Sizemore, he's kind of got an important part to play in this as well. I think, and I'm kind of curious because now he's kind of working for Maeve, like another human working for Maeve. Where's Felix and Sylvester at? Where are those guys hiding?
Oh, that's a good question.
Her other humans.
Yeah, Felix, which they call just Lux.
Right.
And that like kind of threw me off. I was reading back and I'm like, Lux? Oh yeah, that's right. Felix the cat, Sylvester. Yeah, we don't know about them.
We don't know about them.
Even though that Maeve re-entered, but I think when she re-entered, the Sunner, like whoever was alive, like went running for their lives. They're
right.
gone.
That's what I'm curious. Like if they could have been the fire and got killed. Maybe we're left to assume that. Maybe they'll come back later on.
I doubt it though.
But
they got to bring him back.
They will. At least
the actor
Felix.
And the character is great. Felix.
Right.
Yeah.
At least Felix. Sylvester, yeah, he's fine.
Android too. Maeve's like, no, sorry.
I think Sizemore ultimately though, if something goes on, he's kind of shooting for Ford's position.
Yeah. Well, sure, yeah.
Charlotte is pretty much like, look, if you help me out, I'll this happened in the first season.
Lead a narrative and then some. Yeah.
Right, and then some. You'll get to do with him whatever you want. We'll roll him back a little bit. So he's kind of in an interesting place, and the fact that he's alive now, but helping out Maeve, though he's just helping out Maeve find her daughter. At this moment, Maeve doesn't have much more of a
he probably thinks once he
agenda.
gets out there, he can find his way out.
So he's going to still be a snake in the grass, but I think by doing this and staying alive, he could have an important role to play later on with Delos's, and
I just want to know, is Maeve smart enough to just know and find and detect all these underground elevators and shafts that go to the underground control centers and whatnot?
I think that's dependent on who's kind of behind her.
If Dolores and Maeve are going to
agenda,
start a war here,
right?
If they have that intelligence, then done. They've conquered WestWorld at least.
Yeah, I think that, and that's why I think when their two powers combined, they'll be good to go. But in the meantime, Delos is going to give them a run for their money, especially since they know a little bit more about the park than we even thought. Considering the underground storages, the drone androids, etc. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the Man in Black himself, William. And we're not going to touch on the younger William until we get to our predictions for tonight's episode. But as far as episode 1 goes, we just saw the Man in Black. We saw him back in action after the events of the season finale there. And you know what? He's actually excited because, they fight back now.
Oh, yeah. Well, William, the Man in Black, survived the massacre and re-enters the park gathering his gear. Once he got his old gear on, got that bow tie off, he was back. He was back in the saddle. That was a bad one.
Was his dirty Freddy Krueger face?
So he gathers gear where he meets a host that's modeled after a young
Robert.
Right. But I don't know if it was just because the actor's now 2 years older because they did this.
Yeah, it is.
Or if it was like, oh my God, the baby thing in the first thing that shows like Maeve and the baby, maybe perhaps.
Right.
Is it just a symbol? Is it something that's going to happen as far as manufacturing androids, or does that mean that like Ford figured out a way where he can have androids tissue and actually expand and grow?
I think
and age to a certain point.
I think that is a possibility. I don't think with this
that just
particular
happened to
android,
be with the actor that time,
right? Just with the actor because I think they tried their best to make him look like he was young.
Well,
again.
the boy droid though, the boy Robert delivered a static sound and a mix of both the boy's voice and the old man Ford, aka Anthony Hopkins' voice. Right. Basically told William, a new game has started and it's designed for you. That maze thing is the wrong one, but now you got to find the door. Good luck.
That's pretty cool, though. I like that. It gives him another game.
But is it a game for all humans or just him? It's probably just him because he's like the guy.
I think it's just for him. It's meant for him particularly. But that's what kind of brings me to a question. Where does William's story go from here? Now, we're, of course, going to learn more about the past and how it led up to this point. But as far as the Man in Black proper, where does his story go from here? He can now fight back, which we even saw. He got in a real fight. There was blood. They were really trying to kill him.
Well, because he's such an important character, I mean, obviously, you'd think, oh, man, he's got days or less to live because now he's a target and he can die and get shot and killed, and you know it's real this time with all the hosts. But at the same time, everything we've seen with young William and everything we've seen, the horror and stuff, and sort of the Man in Black reminiscing about how horrible he is in the real world.
Right.
And everyone thinks he's this great person, he's this philanthropist and all this and blah, blah, blah. But really, behind closed doors with his family and his close associates, he's a big piece of shit.
Right.
But at the same time, I can see them just taking this, because this is a human experience for the audience,
right,
the people involved in the show. I mean, from what I understand now, they told Ava and Rachel Wood and the other characters, we're going to bring some of your own personal, real, like your real personal stuff into the show and mix it into your character to make it even more emotional and more like
wow, yeah, that's
over
awesome.
the top and self-discovery within self-discovery of the character and the real person. So I'm thinking that the Man in Black will eventually turn good in the end. Whether it's the end of this season or the end of another season,
I think it's later him on.
Putting the white hat back on.
Yep.
And doing the right thing.
And I think the right thing, this is my prediction, is that he will fight for the androids. I think he'll have a redemption, and he will help those androids become even more free and be part of that. Because ultimately, look, he came there to see how it was with Logan. He ended up seeing the horribleness, the horrible kind of cruel ways of this park, and how this technology really was something to awe at and be like, wow, these things could be alive. And then he slowly realized that it pulled the darkness out of him, and he went down the dark side, and he kept trying to find out more and more. And he wants them to have their own choices, but it's going to be to the point now where he's going to start seeing that, wow, they really are another beings. And perhaps why I'm so miserable in the real world is because I am not meant to help my own world, but I meant to help the next world, which is WestWorld. Mm-hmm. So that's my little prediction on old Man in Black there. But as far as where he's going, I'm curious to see how they're going to bring him back in with his younger character. So as far as that goes, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump over to our last couple of segments here of the evening. Aaron's analysis is followed by Pete's appreciation. Well, as far as my analysis for tonight, I loved the season premiere of WestWorld on HBO. The season 2 premiere, that is. I loved it. It was a real great way to throw us back into the world that we grew to love, and threw us right back into those heavy mysteries that we come to love on the show. Though this was a little more straightforward and action-packed right off the bat in terms of bringing the militia in, kind of showing the post kind of mortem and violence that came from Dolores's outburst and Ford's death. And you know what? Then it started mixing and kind of messing with our minds on what timeline was really going on. Were we seeing Bernard presently back 12 days ago of the attack, or is it a weird switch to where we're possibly seeing Arnold, and or is it not Arnold and they're still effing with us and it's Bernard, and Dolores is now in the Arnold position trying to get Bernard to reawaken and snap back into it.
Oh my god, diagnostics room flip.
So ultimately my analysis here is this show is going to continue to get more and more complex, but at the same time more and more fascinating, and it's going to continue to weave us in to its immense story and continue to grow as we learn more about these parks. I mean, shit, we didn't even talk about the Bengal tiger they found that it had to escape, what they say, from Park 6.
Shogun World for sure.
Shogun World for sure. Our little hint of more of Shogun World. We didn't talk about that too much tonight, but as we proceed on what we mentioned tonight, I'm sure we'll see more Shogun World and even more hints of the other parks as the second season comes to a close.
That was a WestWorld intelligent analysis and a half, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, WestWorldia.
WestWorldia. Sorry for the motorcycles. I live in downtown St. Louis, and sometimes during a live show you might hear some revving of some engines. And, we're going to go ahead and jump into Pete's section now, and let's see what he appreciates about this week's WestWorld.
Well, my appreciations are kind of endless with this show. I can pick one segment and diagnose it with floss, but I'll just put it this way. The the 3 Bernards is something I appreciated, as far as like time-wise, because now that we have established that the show is showing us Bernard, a.k.a. Arnold from the past, Bernard before and after the massacre, Bernard before and after he woke up on the beach and all that, we can grasp that and run with it instead of like, what? That already happened. What? Strand brought him in to search for, why are these anomalies happening and all this, but we got that kind of straightened out. I kind of like how the show has these reveals, but they also are straightforward at the same time. And we miss all these little clues too. So like they're giving us clues. The other thing is all the moral gray areas for all the main characters that now are like black and white with the androids, but with the actual people, there's like more of a gray area where before it was like, no, we just do this because we can, and we do this because we have to or whatever, or don't want to. But now it's kind of flip-flopped, so that's my other appreciation. And finally, as Rachel Wood was on Late Night with Seth Meyers back in October of 2016, and she was quoted, and this is very interesting because the acting is the next thing, and the fact that she was interviewed close to where she just sat down in WestWorld with her first scene totally naked in front of Anthony Hopkins. Right. And the first thing out of Hopkins' mouth was like, "Hello, Dolores." Yeah, and the only thing Rachel Wood heard was, "Hello, Clarice." Exactly. But she was quoted, "We're called upon to do shifts of energy," which is a very great way of putting it, very quickly shifts of energy because of operating via voice command. Being in full panic attack, and then someone says, lose all emotional effect, then bring your breathing to a halt, then go back to the character mode, then half character mode, then half analysis mode, and sometimes with an accent and sometimes without. Sometimes the script will call for completely deadpanned face, but with crying eyes. How the hell is someone supposed to give you a deadpan face and have tears start gushing out their eyes?
They got to be a good-ass fucking actor.
She is amazing.
She is amazing. She's probably one of the best actors I've seen. Very, very much so slept on. A lot of the actors in the show
I'd be like, drops, please. And then,
right.
Doop, doop. Okay.
Dude, she's amazing. That first episode of WestWorld Season 1, like, it blew my mind on how good acting somebody could be.
Did you know
I appreciate acting.
They had a fly wrangler? A fly wrangler. Those were real flies that she was smacking in her face towards the end of Season 1.
Little guy's like, hey, now, come on now, flies, and get. That's awesome, man. So, needless to say, you appreciated the shit out of the premiere of
oh my God.
Season 2.
I can't wait. I wish almost that we could just watch the full season preview that we did in our first WestWorldia show again, because the more I see that, the more I'm like, ooh, like there's so much to take in.
So much to pick out, right.
I mean, just even if you put it on mute and you don't hear what they're saying and you don't read subtitles and you just watch the wardrobe and the setting, and it's like, are you kidding me? Bring it. Can't wait.
Hashtag chaos takes control. And we're going to go ahead and close it out with our predictions on tonight's episode. Episode 2 of Season 2. Looks like by the little preview we started off with tonight's episode that they're going to show us the past again. They're going to bring back young William and his interaction, maybe introduction for James Delos into the park and how these creations are. And I'm curious to see where that's going to go.
Me too. All I know is that Ford's body had maggots and flies, so that was a real human body.
Oh yeah,
he sacrificed himself to move his consciousness on. I think we got that part down.
Right.
So I'm thinking now, like, where is he going to pop up? We already kind of heard his voice altered in the younger version that got blown away by the Man in Black. Don't need you anymore, Robert. Boom. So he's gone. If he reappears, that kid, that means there's some serious something going on. Like, obviously Ford is lurking through somewhere, some form of someone.
Some kind of
having it done. There's no way that Underground Lab's just spitting out androids,
Yeah,
without someone
might
operating
be some android womb.
The terraform giant, I already talked about that. Yeah, inner brains. Cognitive dissonance is Bernard's brain trouble leaking.
Right, as it slowly...
Cognitive dissonance. That's
he's going to critical... What does it say? Critical
and that goes
overload?
With the predictions, because I predict that he's going to get to the point where he can't just keep taking fluid out or something.
Right.
And then something's going to go on. And
Well, he's not taking it out of his throat. He's taking it out of the other androids, and he's
putting
it
back. He's putting it in. He's replenishing it.
He's replenishing it. Yeah,
so
as it leaks.
That and the outer boundaries of the parks.
Right.
I keep hearing things like they just turn off when they get to the boundary.
Right.
But I don't know if that's just a theory or if that's an actual real thing. But I can see that coming into play, maybe even this episode tonight.
Right. Okay, I can see that. Yeah, because I'm curious to see what else they're going to kind of weave into this episode, since they are introducing the past storyline again.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're still going to be messing with us in terms of the Bernard storyline as well. And I'm really.
And the drone droids.
Drone droids.
That's
right.
something out of nightmares right there.
Yeah, I think.
Awesome. Though.
I think they're gonna end up wrangling the drone droids. I think that either Maeve and or
bring
Dolores.
them out to battle the other droids.
I think either Maeve or Dolores are going to learn how to control one of them.
Oh wow!
And take it into their hands.
That's a good prediction. Damn.
That's what I think.
Well, like Jeffrey Wright, the actor, said Bernard. Damn, we're doing real sci-fi here.
Yeah, I saw
this
that.
This is the real deal. So, like, he walks on the set, and he's like, whoa. Even Evan Rachel Wood's, like, she drives to WestWorld from outside, and it's getting bigger and bigger. She approaches, she's like, I mean, it's just amazing. You're completely submersed into it as an actor and as a cast member, and as an audience, you are too.
Right.
So it's like probably the best show ever made. I don't know. I'm starting to think, as far as dramas and sci-fis are concerned, like, this is...
It's one of the top dogs.
Creme de la creme, man.
And not only with the budget, the actors they can afford, the actual production and direction they take to get it to where it is.
The foam latex suits those droids were in.
I loved it. And as an artist, I loved it.
They had to put skinny dudes such as yourself...
Super skinny, in corsets.
Right. They could barely breathe, and giving them straws.
And still make them look like underneath meat, you know?
Yeah, I feel sorry for, like, Walking Dead people that play, the walkers, but on this case, this is like... Wow, like they're suffering for hours upon hours.
Oh, hours, yeah.
They can't. They can barely.
They probably
breathe
have to get as much footage as they can get in a day.
Yeah.
So they're doing like all day, like 12-hour shoots. I bet.
And I bet you this Halloween, it's going to be all the rage.
That's actually pretty cool.
That's going to be the suit to wear.
I might have to do that for Halloween. All right. Well, shit. Guys, looks like it's about that time. 1 minute till the premiere of episode 2 of season 2 of the WestWorld. We're going to go enjoy ourselves, and I hope you enjoy the enjoyment as well. And we'll catch you guys next week on WestWorldia, brought to you by PanNerdia. Ron out.
Peace. Enjoy the enjoyment.
Because we will.
Oh, yeah.